Good evening to one and all present here. We at Asia Pacific Institute of Hotel Management proudly welcomes you all for this international webinar. We are pleased to have an expert panel across the globe to help our students to understand, to identify the opportunities and what sort of technologies could be used in order to sustain this pandemic and post-pandemic scenario. We are privileged to have our panel with us. Professor Sujata Babu, our keynote speaker. Professor Pastor from University of Perpetual Health and Professor Paula Ma'am from University of Algarve to help our students in this scenario. I welcome you all for this international webinar. We at Asia Pacific Institute of Hotel Management welcome you all for this event. I would like to give a brief account for our keynote speaker. We are privileged to have Professor Sujata Babu with us, an alumni of GNU. He took the charge as a nodal officer for National Institute of Water Sports in Goa. Professor Babu has been a research fellow and he has attended several fellowship programs in tourism and has provided several guidelines in promoting tourism planning development. He is also the editor for International Journal of Tourism and Travel. He has been there in the industry for more than 2 decades. He has been delivering lectures at postgraduate level in programs confining to tourism. He is a very serious researcher and has many publications to his name. Many international journals have been published. Dr. Babu is a lead researcher and authored many reports of advisory policies based in nature. Notable ones are Problem and Prospect of Accessible Tourism in India, Analyzing Factors Responsible for Slowdown in Tourist Arrival, and Evaluating Hunar Se Rozgar Tak Scheme of Government of India for Ministry of Tourism, a study on feasibility of leisure water sports in Jammu region, assessment of safety infrastructure requirements and visitor management practices for beaches in Kerala, and study of feasibility of leisure water sports in Kerala are notable ones from his research. We are indeed pleased to have you on board, sir. We welcome you, sir, for this webinar. Now we have our distinguished speaker. We have our distinguished speaker, Professor Pastor from University of Perpetual Health System, Philippines. He is in PhD in Technological Education. He has done Masters of Science in Information Technology, Bachelors of Science in Computer Science. He holds more than 2 decades of experience in teaching. Along with that, he is also a software engineer. He is an honorary member and reviewer of Institute of Engineering Research Publication. He has held several places and several positions in the ICT Council of Bakur. So we welcome you for this international webinar. We are indeed pleasure to have you with us. Our other distinguished speaker for this international webinar is Professor Paula Ma'am. She holds a PhD in Management Science by University of Algarve. She has been associated with numerous publications, numerous institutions across the globe. She has been working to provide international scientific journals, participation for all across the globe. Ma'am, we are indeed pleasure to have you and sharing your experience, knowledge with us. I would like to request Professor Dipti Sahu, sir, to address you all in a more precise manner. Sir, over to you.
Good evening all the fellow colleagues, encourageous organizing team, respective convener Professor Gaurav Mishra, hard worker organizing secretary Professor Prakash, fellow colleagues Professor Sanket Rani, fellow colleagues Professor Ajit Sahu, people are not able to join, but definitely their efforts will be remarkable. In today's webinar, it is not going to get any kind of profitable outcome for my institution, for my university, but yes, definitely it will be showcase and path to the world, which is showcasing to my students for how they can rebuild their future, how they can rebuild their future.
Okay.
Hello. Hello. Gaurav, am I audible to all of you? And also, people who all are giving their valuable time, sharing their thoughts, like my guru, Gaurav, am I audible to all?
So yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay.
So you're audible.
Eminent academician in the field of tourism, eminent academician in the field of IT, eminent academicians who all are already practiced for more than a decade or 2 decades, people who all are invented several applications, several paths for the tourism practitioners, like Professor Babu sir, one of the honorary member in the tourism ministry portal. Professor Babu sir, respected sir, last year I visited to Goa. You don't have a time, but during the limited period of my conversation with you, you narrate me a knowledge about how to rebuild the skill in terms of hospitality and as well as tourism sector. Sir, it is definitely overwhelming my heart, and I thought my students, fellow colleagues and all the participants here present in the webinar, they will definitely follow the path, whatever you are delivered to me at last year, whatever I gained from your respective conglomerations there in Goa. Apart from that, I would like to recognize all the fellow colleagues, all the fellow professors from India, from Philippines, Professor Pastor, from Portugal, Professor Paula. You all are given your valuable time, spare your valuable time to contribute something for the cause of rebuilding tourism, which is I can evaluate on my personal cause that tourism 2.0. It will not going to evaluate as tourism before COVID, and now I can evaluate this as tourism 2.0 because in post-pandemic era we have to narrate some kind of new initiative in terms of tourism. Before begin with the conference, before begin with the webinar, I just wanted to narrate. There are several things has to be narrated because this webinar is not going to visible to India. This webinar is going to be participated from South Africa, participation from Bangladesh, participation from Malaysia, participation from...
Sorry to interrupt, sir, but you are not audible for me.
Yes.
I'm not able to hear you, sir, properly.
Because everyone is hearing me and in a very prospective manner.
No, sir. Your voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking a lot.
So I just wanted to give my heartfelt thanks to all the participants, to all the research scholars, to all my eminent faculties. Kindly contribute something, build the tourism. We will have a new scenario now. So in this connection, I would like to request respected sir, our keynote speaker, Professor Babu sir, kindly sir start with the keynote speech, please.
Thank you, Mr. Dipti and all his colleagues who have taken time enough to discuss about how tourism and hospitality industry can be evolving and emerging after this difficult time of COVID-19. In fact, though the topic revolves around the idea of the implications of technology and the future of tourism, I would rather start by looking at the larger canvas of tourism and how tourism has evolved, what happened to tourism globally and of course in India after the onset of COVID-19, and what probable courses that we have before us. This would be the way that I thought I must spend some time sharing whatever little understanding I have gathered over the period of time and our direct encounters with the COVID-19 pandemic. Friends, Dipti Sahu has flagged some question to me. I think before I deal one by one, as you can see on the screen, I would wish to take you through
respected sir,
some
that discussion session is after your speech, sir.
I know that. I'm going to speak on the. I'm not going to speak on.
I just
first
thought
thing
some
now.
kind of
I'm just
barrier
trying to
communication
set the
maybe,
context
so
for it.
that's why I just remind. Sorry, sir. Please apologize.
Yeah, I only flagged these questions I would move on to, I don't have to say or detail it about COVID-19 status now, but still to have context of the discussion for the day, I just shares the present scenario. I mean, what is the status as of today? We all know that the total cases have crossed 10 million, and the deaths almost 5 lakhs or 100,000 people have already died approximately, and no corner of the world, whether the countries or the territories, are free from the impact of COVID pandemic. We can also see that what are the geographic concentration of the spread. We can see the United States, we can see the entire Europe, and then the Middle East, then the South Asia, then goes on to Southeast Asia and Australia, and on the Western Hemisphere, we have Brazil very prominently figuring as one of the hotspots of COVID-19 impacts. This is a picture about how the infection has been progressing, the countries which has been affected, as well as the numbers over the year, since the Okay, I'm just trying to check my screen. Okay, is it visible to you?
Sir, just I have to check.
Yes, sir, it's visible. Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, you have to full presenting this.
How fast the pandemic has been spreading and increasing. We start somewhere in the last week, January. Then we see that from March 15, there is sudden spurt, and by June 20, we are seeing how badly the infection has spread across the world, and the number of deaths that we have to that effect. Here is a picture of how it is figuring. In fact, if you look at it, we can see that in the beginning India was having very few cases, but now we are seeing a consistent increase in the number of cases in India, and that is one of the concerns that we have in India today.
Respected sir,
some of the countries.
Respected sir.
Yes.
Sir, please allow me to announce one thing. Professor Rashidul Hassan from Bangladesh National University, Vice Chancellor of Bangladesh National University, is online. He is watching us.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Ajit sir, welcome. Yeah. So this is the trend that we have. Some countries which were having more cases like Spain, UK, Germany, all have now almost plateaued. But the countries like Brazil, India, etc., now the number of cases are increasing very consistently day after day. Why these pictures are important? Because when we are talking about tourism, we also need to look at the horizon that we have before us. Here you can see the screen, the position that India is today. India is now among the 4th highest infected countries in the world. And if you look at it, the average, if you look at the infected people or the cases against the population, though we have in India one of the lowest ratio of 39 people against every 100,000, way below to many countries like the United States, Brazil, Chile for that matter. But the way it is progressing, in India we have a concern as how this pattern is going to emerge in the days and months to come. Friends, we know that the global economy has been in a very bad shape because of the global lockdown, and many countries even have gone to the extent of shutdowns. International boundaries have been blocked. The movement of goods have almost stopped for a long while. Now gradually began to opening up. The airlines are up to complete halt. Even now, international flights are very, very few. And that all have led to a very, very concerning economic scenario globally. And as per the latest forecast of IMF, in 2020, there is going to be a negative growth of minus 4.9% in 2020, which is unprecedented in the history of mankind. Such a very substantial decline in the global economic growth. And as a consequence, the unemployment is increasing very, very alarmingly. And many countries are in the grip of very serious recession. And the impact in the short term are extremely painful, including loss of employment, then loss of wages, and people struggling to meet both end needs. If you look at the Indian economy, as per IMF projections, latest projections, it is going to be contracted by 4.5%. But having said, considering the very unique nature of Indian economy, which is surviving or which is thriving on its own domestic consumption, there are apprehensions about such a pessimistic scenario of 4.5% consumption economy, but still we are hoping for the best in our country. The government has already announced the recovery measures to the tune of $10 billion, 10 billion rupees, and certainly that is going to bring a whole lot of change and vibrancy in the Indian economy. Friends, I don't have to speak much about the numbers. You all are aware about it, how the pandemic has affected the global tourism industry. In fact, we all know that the world tourism has entered 2020 with a great amount of enthusiasm, because the energy that the sector has gained after the economic recession of 2008-9, the industry has been very consistently since 2010. And in 2019, it was around 4%. And with that great optimism that the global industry has entered 2020, and then came by March the worst effect of the pandemic. And as per the latest estimate of UNWTO, it is expected that there is going to be a decline in the international arrivals by 60 to 80% in 2020, which means that a loss of around 850 million to 1.1 billion cash tourists. And this will translate into revenue loss of USD 910 billion to USD 1.2 trillion, which is huge loss that the industry is going to encounter in 2020. And the employment is not different either. The loss of direct employment is projected to be the tune of 100 to 120 million in 2020. Then I would like to put a question to all who are listening to this talk. Will the magic of resilience work this time? Because we have seen, if we look at the history of tourism, and if you look at the evolution of tourism in the 21st century, maybe from 2000 onwards, we will see that 2002, 2003, 2008, all the 3 years we have a very bad state of tourism industry. The industry has moved very fast, and from 2010 onward, the industry has been growing very, very consistently, and that gives tremendous hope at this juncture for all of us to hold that tourism industry is and has been resilient, and it will remain resilient because despite all talk of the tourism, what people look for is one-to-one interaction, seeing and feeling things personally, and they would not like to see, for instance, much picture on a virtual tour. Rather, they would take that much risk to go to the bureau and see it in person. That kind of drive for experiencing things in person is going to bring the industry back on track. How and when that will happen, it's still a matter of qualifying test to all of us. Friends, this is how the possible 2020 trends of tourism, and there are 3 different scenarios. And if the pandemic is true in a reasonable way, we would have a rather faster recovery of the industry, and that again depends on 2 crucial factors. One, the drugs and vaccine that is going to be coming to the market. 2, how the health infrastructure across the world is going to get itself organized to handle the pandemic. These are 2 major elements that would define the reversal of not just tourism industry, but the economy in general, both in India and the world. As I was trying to look at how COVID pandemic has affected the tourism industry, and the numbers say that there is going to be a substantial decline in India's inbound traffic, which according to 2019 figures was around 11 million. But going by some assessment that these figures are my own figures, I made the assessment by calculating UNWTO figures as well as the WTTC figures. And as far as the estimation goes, India is going to have a lot of around 2.18 million to 3.27 million. But this was really projection on one day. This might change because the curve of the pandemic is not coming down, rather it is stretching and it is only going northward. So losses in terms of USD, it is going to be around 6 to 9 billion, and the job sector total job losses are going to be even worse, to the tune of 5 to 6 million. My concern is that if you look at the initial map, the map that we have seen in the first slide, all the major economies in the world has been badly affected by the coronavirus, by the pandemic, and all those developed countries are also happened to the world's major tourist generating countries, including China. But if you look at India, all the major countries again, whether it is the UK, British, or United States of America, Germany, France, all these countries have been very badly affected, and these countries should be India's major foreign tourist markets. And again, the change of scenario depends on how soon the situation in those countries changed, the economy is improved. At the same time, how India is able to contain the spread of the pandemic, which now only in certain pockets of this huge country. But what has been India's strength all along, and I have been pitching, is the strength of India's domestic tourism industry. Economic speaking, of total tourism economy of the country, about 2/3, about 3 of India's tourism revenue is contributed by domestic tourism alone, which means that even if there is a bit of delay in the international tourism arrivals in India is picking up, the reversal in domestic tourism is going to be key in India's tourism industry revival. Spreading virus and the fear that has been created across the world, how this is really affected. We in India would know the migration of millions and millions of migrant workers by foot, by train, but all means, because they lost all their livelihood options with the industries, the country's economic lockdown. And if you come to tourism industry, what is even more scary is that almost 85% of the tourism industry, whether it is in India or in any part of the world for that matter, is dominated by micro, small, medium enterprises. And that is the biggest challenge that the industry is facing today. If you look at India's employment scenario, the contribution to tourism sector is something around 11%, and of its direct employment is something around 6.5 to 6.7%. And that much employment is now totally lost, because now no part of the country that anything that is resembling to tourism is happening. And such a massive job loss also leads to massive losses in income, especially among the most vulnerable sections, who are women, the indigenous communities, the low-skilled people, and other socially and economically weaker groups. In fact, these are the people, these are the sections of the people who dominate the tourism income sector, which absorbs the maximum employment in tourism sector. And the tourism income sector is the biggest sector compared to tourism formal sector in any destination, either in India or in any part of the world. So that is the biggest challenge that we are going to have when we are talking about the vulnerability of the sector vis-a-vis that of COVID-19. Friends, I tried to sketch what the way I try to understand the tourism trajectory and the bearing of COVID-19 on the tourism trajectory. And I also try to look at how the industry is going to, or how tourism is going to behave in the short to medium term. Now everybody is talking about not revival, but everybody is talking about survival. That should be the first priority. And to me, one of the biggest challenges is how to manage the anxiety and fear that the pandemic has created, not just in India, but across the world. I just can't believe even my own children or my family members, even if they have not been outside of my home for a long time. That is the level of anxiety that we are encountering, that is the level of fear that we have to negotiate with. So the survival of industry, first and foremost, me, would depend on how we would be able to manage such a mountain anxiety and fear. Second aspect, travel, there has to be a physical movement, and therefore ensuring seamless travel is crucial. For instance, now the whole world has the international countries, the borders almost frozen. Nobody is allowed to enter to another country's territory. With that kind of restrictions prevailing around, international travel is going to face a huge challenge because the countries are going to calibrate opening of the borders, maybe initiate to certain countries in terms of infection, and that is going to be a huge deterrent when it comes to international travel. And within India, for instance, we have almost every state saying that we do not want the trains start operating with the normal schedule. The state government is wanting the airlines to have scheduled flights, and even now the state order of great restrictions when it comes to movement of people. Within that, the seamless travel has been very bad handled. And how that can be improved? There has to be greater cooperation and coordination at various levels. At district levels, in the district coordination, cooperation, facilitation. Then between states, there has to be great amount of conference building required. And when it comes to international level, I guess it's a huge challenge to even make any qualified guess as when we are going to be able to open up the international borders for people to travel and so on. But if you want even to call for survival first, we need to foster the physical travel. Then I spot another opportunity in India, surging outbound segments. If you look at it, in 2019, India's outbound tourists were roughly 23 billion plus, which is a huge number, which is more than double the number of the and the COVID-19 around, with the pandemic around, the fear and anxiety around, the international travel restrictions around, a good chunk of these people might not even think of setting out of the country. and the industry can spot opportunity in India's urban numbers. Then comes another important trend that we have already marked. Still, the confidence in public transport is very, very distant, and people are pushing themselves to use the private modes. Nobody wants to increase the exposure to the spaces which they are not familiar with, and therefore, at least in the short to medium term, tourism industry, the tourists are going to largely use the private for their transport. That is one pattern that I support. Second pattern I support is of the short distance, short duration travels. Because the use of private cars, private trains, you cannot travel longer distances, and therefore the immediate trend could be shorter distances and shorter duration. And another trend we may see is, though the cities have been biggest point of attraction to people, now that might change. Smaller cities, rural areas and natural locations may get more attention, and because at the end of the day nobody wants to be in a place which is crowded, and therefore rural areas may get much more focus now. Natural locations may get much more focus now. Another aspect that we all have to respect, I put it that way, to respect, is that there is a greater realization about how the nature has revived, nature has rejuvenated, how our living environment has refined, and we now are in a position to breathe fresh air. We see peacocks on the roads, we see lions on the roads. So that is the kind of changes that have happened, because the pressure that we have been exerting in the environment has substantially come down. And that has given a lot of realization about being in a clean environment. And that is going to bring a phase of behavioral change, which I think globally that has been what I'm talking about. People are going to change the way they see their life, they see their environment, they see the way they travel, and after all the way they consume. And therefore, we have already a section of people who are very much concerned about the content, and therefore, with the gaining, the experience they have gained over the period of time of COVID, what they have experienced about a clean environment and acceptability, my qualified guess is that people are going to change the consumption pattern, which is more responsible consumption, leading to lesser carbon footprints. And another trend I could follow is of people's concern for safer stays and their concern for personal care may lead to them opting for small accommodation units, which could include the homestays or bed and breakfast. Friends, this is the broad aspects I thought I must share with you, because since I have a couple of questions to reply, I thought I must try to sketch out trajectory of how tourism has been since the beginning of 2020, and how the global economic scenario has been emerging, evolving, and the government responding with the tremendous economic packages, not just by the developed countries, but across the world, including India. That is going to bring substantial change in the way now the economy is fallen, and that might become and lift the economy and start moving. We have already seen for India, the economy has gradually begun to move. I'm not saying that it has come back to the normalcy, and all these are going to have a positive bearing on people's travel, their travel behavior, and eventually the tourism industry. I only say survival might start now, no revival. Revival might take maybe more than a year. With this, I once again thank all my esteemed panelists, those delegates listen to this brief presentation, and I thank Sri Dipti for me to giving me to share my thoughts on the way how I understand the impact of COVID-19 on this industry in general and India. Thank you all very much for your patient hearing. Thank you all. Dipti, back to you.
Thank you, sir. I just don't have any words to give thanks. It is just something like, adding value to the current scenario. Sir, really I can say in today's scenario, my students are come to me, sir, what to happen? What is our future? And during your presentation, everything is precisely been presented. What you are going to get, how much you are going to get, what are the skill set is required, everything is. I hope fellow colleagues and panelists are going to more narrating in the narration way, definitely. But sir, I will definitely say it is a very wise level of presentation, and I would like to heartfelt thank from our side. On behalf of Gujarat Technological University, on behalf of our department, I would like to give my heart courage and thanks for your courageous presentation, sir. Gaurav, you may proceed for the next.
Okay. Firstly, I would like to thank our keynote speaker, sir. It's been a tremendous presentation, surely, sir. We couldn't find any other way of starting this presentation. All those points, as sir have mentioned, that they've been covering each and every aspect for all our students, all those aspirants in the field of hospitality, tourism. And not just that, sir, it's about the problem along with that solution that you've really mentioned in your presentation. This is something really to learn and understand this scenario. We are really pleased to have those words from your end, sir. With that, I request our other distinguished speaker, Professor Pastor, sir, to kindly start the presentation, sir. Sir, is that audible? Professor Pastor, is that audible?
Yes, hello. Good evening. Yeah, good evening.
Gaurav.
It's,
good evening, Professor. Good evening, Professor. Good evening.
Hello.
Please receive my sincere apology from India.
Can I proceed?
I just allow my fellow colleagues to start your presentation, Professor.
Okay.
Gaurav? Gaurav, you may start the presentation after a brief description of Professor Pastor. Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you, Dr. Dipti Prakash Sahu, who is the head of the Department of Tourism Hospitalized. I am going to discuss or talk about the state of information communication technology and the implications in hospitality industries. Well, my background, since I am an information technology professional, my background is about software engineering in the academy for the past 20 years. Now, the presentation topics: top 5 new technologies to disrupt the hospitality industry, the effects of technology on tourism, and the different software development trends. Now, I will first talk about the 5 new technologies that will disrupt the hospitality industry, not only here in the Philippines, but in the world. Of course, the world is changing faster than ever before in technology, continuously transforming our daily life, and of course, experience the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation, that are no longer terms encountered in only in science fiction, but these technologies are being implemented across industries to revolutionize various aspects of consumers' daily life, from healthcare, privacy, home security, communication. Number 1 is point of sales. Point of sales. Cash registers are being slowly replaced with barcodes in hotels, mobile payment, and now even cloud-based technology. It's completely removing the need to have a physical payment system at the reception counter, and even subsequently increasing security, efficiency, and transparency. We are actually sitting the big data. And actually generates intelligible insights from it. And big data graphic of
Sujata
razor
Awalgoankar.
sharp precision that is widely managing from inventories and pricingly intelligently to be aligned with market conditions. And that's also the thing that would hamper the
ମହାରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରର ମୁଖ୍ୟମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ଉଦ୍ଧବ ଠାକରେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ବହୁ
the industry. Number 3 would be AI, or artificial intelligence. Now,
Sujata Awalgoankar.
again, business is absolutely, especially in hotel industry. Artificial intelligence, in order to stay relevant, of course, both activated home assistants, their smartphones, big data insight, artificial intelligence adoption, the next innovation poised to make an impact on hospitality. The world, globally speaking, many businesses are either developing artificial intelligence in-house, trying to adopt AI solutions. For example, by 2022, according to Gartner, he predicts that 1 in 5 workers engaged in mostly non-routine functions will rely on artificial intelligence to do most of the day-to-day manual tasks associated with their roles. And exactly 2 years from now, it will really affect the industry. Number 4 would be the voice and natural language processing. So these technologies are actually adequately relating to machine learning. And because machine learning has allowed voice platforms such as Alexa, if you're familiar with Alexa, Turl, so it means that these technologies would like to get smarter, and potential is emerged. Soon, guests everywhere will be able to control the room temperature, of course, contact the housekeeping staff, and see the room service menu, either from their smartphones or even from virtual assistants promising an experience like never before. And of course, number 5 is augmented reality. Now, augmented reality is actually seen to gain adoption in the coming years from 2020 and onward in hospitality industry, because AR powered signage can be used to enhance the customer experience by routing them to check-in counter or the breakfast location, or even during emergencies to help customers identify the safest evacuation route. Now, here in the Philippines hospitality and tourism sector, more stakeholders are in adopting those technologies or such technologies. If not actually slowly making the switch, brands are upgrading their operations by digitalizing bookings, payment systems, even room services, and among others. During the tourism and hospitality technology summit here in the Philippines, way back November of 2018, the Department of Tourism Secretary, our Department of Tourism, meaning the government agency, headed by Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat, highlighted the importance of technology in boosting the country's tourism and raising awareness to preserve tourist attractions. But all of this do not mean that the hospitality industry will become completely automated through. It only means that technology cannot replicate the experience of staying at one's favorite hotel, where one has a lifetime worth of collections and memories. Now, next topic would be the effects of technology to tourism. Well, there are numbers of technologies that would also not destroy but hamper also the technology industry of tourism. We are faster and we move more often because of technology. We live in a less polluted world, and often we can also save our life experiences that only a few years ago we would never have imagined. That above all these things, we all move with more confidence in ourselves. Now, one of those is mobile application. Here in the Philippines, our technology in terms of development or production of technology is more on mobile application, web application development, gamification. So those technologies are actually booming. Now, when we talk about mobile applications, smartphones are one of the main parts of this development. Today, use them to buy and show airline tickets at the airport. We know that. With them, we book even Grab taxi, over car to reach the city center from the airport. And based on them, some of us also choose where to go on vacation. Now, the tendency, the importance of this smartphones technology and photography applications has led to the development of otherwise unknown tourist areas, but also a general tendency for airports, airlines, and hotels to offer increasingly smartphone-oriented services. 1. Faster and safer with biometrics. That's number 1. The inclusion of biometric recognition systems in the main airports, remember, on the airport, international airports of the world, on the basis of the eye fingerprints, has made every trip extremely safer. Security. The Atlanta airport, for that example, is that, and the Delta Airline Company have even started an experimental project thanks to which it is possible to travel without documents. Everything is working electronically. With biometric recognition only. This is a solution that will save up to 9 minutes of time in the future. Number 2, fewer hotels but more private homes. What is that all about? The sharing of economy is booming. Like For example, an application like an application which is airborne, one can book different accommodation solutions, from the cheapest to the most luxurious ones, to satisfy every need. In addition to the houses, one can also book the most varied experiences made available by the locals to experience the journey 100%, and that's one. Number 3, that will affect the tourism industry. Lower prices, higher performance. Nowadays, it is possible to manage everything remotely, even from countries those whose cost of living is lower than the average of Western countries in the world. Moreover, and also for this reason, we are actually witnessing the growing diffusion of tourism operators who have not disappeared as one might believe, but have replaced the traditional one. And it would actually make a lot of development from this year and beyond. Because all of this had led to general lowering of prices, of course, combined with an expansion of the offer. And on the one hand, competition favors the consumer. On the other hand, the possibility of spreading the most luxurious travel experiences via the web has made them attractive to a wider audience and always pushes the luxury market further. And of course, most wider audience are always disseminating of review sites, and social network has forced operators to take care of all of those phrases of the tourism experiences. In this way, moreover, the risk of fraud has been reduced to a minimum. Number 4, car rental with GPS, global positioning system. The expansion of global positioning system, now no longer integrated only in navigators of our car, but also in our smartphones, tablets, and smartwatches. It has produced a renewed love for car travel. This is also demonstrated by the growing of popularity of car rentals, now also included in offers of even airlines, such as Ryanair. Ryanair has this kind of technology. However, the most striking effect of the positive relationship between technology and tourism is certainly the diversification of the proposals. For years to come, tourism almost always meant traveling to a hotel near the sea and even in the mountains or a city of art. The most popular destinations remained the same for several years, and players even in the industry did not have tried too hard to even attract customers. But of course, things change. Technology is something that is constantly changing and getting better every day. We know that. Innovations are always there. Even in our pandemic situation right now, there are so many technologies that came in to actually mitigate problems of this pandemic. And that's technology has a big role about that. Now, a technology travel system can offer more conveniently and friendly service in 2020. Of course, hotels and airline reservations or even mobile applications, search for destinations, GPS for location, and of course, learning the local language. Now, my last topic would be we'll tackle about the different development trends for 2020 and onwards. It's not only about industry for tourism and hotel and even aviation management, but it will actually talk about all types of industry in the world. Number 1, of course, is the blockchain industry. Now, according to the study of Indeed.com, it shows that in the past year, the share of cryptocurrency job postings per million Indeed has increased by 26%, while the share of searches per million for jobs has decreased by 53%. And number 2, as far as software technology or software development trends is concerned, number two would be Internet of Things, as I have mentioned. No, from cars to roads, of course, it will actually explore things that would have processed the edge of saving time and money from porting to all the data centralized data center. Number three, cyber security. It is actually in the world, it is number one as far as technology is concerned, to secure the operations, the electronic processing system of each organization or company in the world. Because cybersecurity is top of mind of every enterprise, organization, and government in the world, which means resources will be flowing to develop different new solutions. Because there are two categories of cybersecurity. It could be internal and external. But when we talk about internal, it talks about businesses like hotels will be focused on building security into their software. However, there's a lack of cybersecurity talent. According to Info Security magazine, it's reported that 65% of the questioned organizations indicated a shortage of cybersecurity employees. Meaning, in our industry, the ICT or IT industry, professionals, especially in our Philippine Digital Strategy 2025, 1.3 million IT professionals will be needed by year 2025 in Southeast Asia. And therefore, in addition to this, the questioner also revealed that this lack of skilled cybersecurity professionals is their number one concern. Therefore, our government here in the Philippines are actually training a lot of IT professionals to be certified cybersecurity officer. At the same time, a DPO. When you say DPO, the data privacy officer. In fact, we have two laws here in the Philippines that govern that. The Republic Act number 10173, which is commonly known as sorry for that. Number one, 10173, the Republic Act 10173. And number two would be the Data Privacy Act 10175. Now, number four would be the AI or the Now, yes, sir.
സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് ഫിലിപ്പൈൻസ്.
Hello.
We are listening, Professor Pastor.
Uh, 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 um, I'm sorry, my connection is lost. No? Even industry tools. The emergence of progressive web applications finds sweet spot between performance and, of course, availability. And in terms of progressive web applications package, web technologies into solution that makes it easy to create more powerful and web-based tools. And actually, major companies like Google, we know that, Google and Adobe, are already committed to developing progressive web applications technology that they herald a new era for web development enterprises or technology. So those are the things that I have with me as far as information communication technology is concerned, and of course the state of ICT in the tourism and hotel industry. Of course, I would like again to say thank you, Dr. Dipti Prakash Sahu of Asia Pacific Management, Gujarat Technological University, for the invitation. It's my pleasure to share something about what I have. Thank you. Good evening. Sir.
Thank you, Professor Pastor, for your benevolent and ornamental, presentation. I know, I can understood that here in Philippines it is now about 10:30 or 10:45 p.m. But you are, for the cause of revival of tourism, for the cause of revival of future aspirants, you are doing such kind of great things. I just really wanted to, give my heartfelt thanks on behalf of our team who all are organizing this kind of activity. Professor Gaurav, convener of my organizing team, I would like to pass the message to you. You may continue, please.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, that's been an interesting and interactive session. All those aspects pertaining to our industry have been covered in that, and it's a fruitful session for all those listeners. How the technology could be used, we are very helped with that. All those suggestions will be incorporated for sure, sir. Now we have another distinct speaker with us, Professor Paula ma'am. I request ma'am to please kindly start the session. She has been waiting for long to interact with us, and so we are waiting, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, Professor. We are unable to hear you. I request you kindly unmute yourself. Kindly unmute yourself. Professor Paula, I just request you to unmute yourself. I am unable to listening you. I just suggest you to please check out and then check in, so that hopefully something can be resolved. Right, Gaurav sir?
Yes, sir. Meanwhile, I request all those participants, you may write down your queries and questions that we've done in these sessions in the chat box, and surely all those queries will be attended by our expert panel. All the panelists have delivered very nice content, all fruitful for us. So all those queries and questions are welcome. You may write down in the chat box. And after this technical session, we would be having that question answer session that would be moderated by Sujata ma'am. So we are looking forward for that also. Paula ma'am, can you hear me? Paula ma'am, is that audible to you?
Any problem, Gaurav sir?
Yes, sir. I think it's she's not able to have that right bandwidth. That's why I guess the voice is not coming from her end. Meanwhile, we can have some questions. Sujata ma'am, are you there, Sujata ma'am?
Yes, good evening, Gaurav. I am here. Am I audible to all?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, so good evening to all.
Professor Paula, you are not audible to us. Hopefully, you are listening to all of us, but your voice is not clear here. So I suggest you please check out and please rejoin, so that hopefully the matter will be resolved. Because yes, Sujata, you may
can have
continue.
question, ma'am.
Yes, okay. I'll take the lead for question and answers. Before that, for all those who have joined recently and also for all others here, I would like to reintroduce our panelists briefly. I'll start with Professor Suteshna Babu sir, Nodal Officer at National Institute of Water Sports, Panjim, Goa, Ministry of Tourism, India. Sir has attended many fellowship programs in tourism. The most significant ones are the Government of India and Republic of Cyprus Joint Fellow Program in Tourism Planning and Development on Cyprus. UNWTO certificate holder in tourism taxation and statistics. Professor Babu also holds the position of the editor for International Journal of Tourism and Travel. For last 2 decades, he has been multifarious lecturer at graduation level programs in tourism. He has a broad spectrum of research interests like tourism policy, leisure, water sporting, to sum up a few. Professor Babu is a voracious reader and has an unquenchable thirst towards research, which has led him to author many reports and advisory policy based in nature. Notable one are problem and prospect of accessible tourism in India, analyzing factors responsible for slowdown in tourist arrival in India, and evaluating Hunar Se Rozgar Ka scheme of Government of India for Ministry of Tourism. Dear sir, we are truly delighted to have you among us. It is a matter of great pleasure and happiness for having you among us. Yes, sir.
In between
Dipti, sir,
this,
would you like me to reintroduce again the other panelists also, or should I switch on to questions which are placed for Babu sir? And then come up again with the reintroduction part.
Sujata, hopefully, Professor Paula is now connected. So let's see
Okay.
if she is continue.
Okay. Yes. Okay, fine, sir. I'll stop here.
Professor Paula, again I have some issue to listening you. I suggest you may connect with us from your mobile phone maybe. You may not able to communicate from your computer system, but yes, you can communicate with us from your mobile phone also, so that the messages can reach us.
I'm in again.
Yes, now you audible to us.
Okay. Amazing. So I'm sorry for this delay. I will disconnect my computer because the feedback. Are you listening me?
Yes. We're listening you. It's good now.
Oh, thank you. So, I will start my presentation once again. Good evening to all my distinguished colleagues. I want first of all to thank Professor Dipti Sahu for this kind invitation to be here today, sharing my thoughts and knowledge about IT in tourism and hospitality sector. My name is Paula Cerdeira Azevedo, and I teach information systems at the School of Management, Hospitality and Tourism of the University of Algarve in Faro, south of Portugal. I'm in Europe, in the south, okay? Portugal. I've been teaching at the university for over 20 years, and me and my colleagues are still trying to make the best we can to minimize the damage the pandemic has done to all of us, and have dedicated special attention to the effects on tourism and hospitality sectors. So my presentation is about how technology can help tourism and hospitality sectors in times of pandemic. Pandemic diseases have been threatening the human race several times, and now once again. The travel sector, and more so the hospitality sector, has been among the hardest hit to three factors, important factors. First factor, the fear of community spread through the travel and large groups mingling with each other. Number two, the postponement or cancellation of events, conference, conventions and sport leagues. And number three, because of the lockdowns that has created a non-conducive business climate for restaurants, bars and other hospitality businesses. Technology cannot prevent the onset of the pandemic. However, it can help prevent the spread, educate, warn and empower those on the ground to be aware of the situation. Among these issues, the hotel sector will need to quickly anticipate and respond to the health and safety concerns of guests, and comply with ongoing guidance and regulations imposed on the industry by governments and regulatory laws in light of the pandemic. This adoption is particularly changing in the context of hotel operations, Potential hotel guests will demand much higher standards of hygiene, cleanliness and sanitation, and will expect hotels to put in place the measures required to effectively maintain social distancing. Technology can be an accelerator for hotels in their efforts to implement robust cleanliness and sanitation practices, as well as ensure proper social distancing. Technology applications and platforms can further help address the trust situation between hotels and hotel guests by eliminating unnecessary human contact, which could be potential point of virus transmission, and offer efficient solutions for disinfection, sanitization, and air purification. For example, hotels can use mobile technology to communicate to guests or potential guests about the cleanliness and safety programs in place at the hotels in order to provide the reassurance that hygiene is a top priority. High-tech virtual management systems can also assist hotels in providing an enhanced hygienic environment. For example, infrared temperature readers can be used to screen for coronavirus or other type of virus during the check-in process. Cloud-based housekeeping systems can also be used to manage guest room cleanliness and ensure compliance with coronavirus. And electrostatic spraying technology can be used by housekeeping staff to sanitize their faces and disinfect guest rooms and public areas with disinfectant. We expect hotel operators can increasingly partner with tech companies to adapt existing technologies and create new technologies to address the unique operating demands of hotels in the coronavirus era. These measures will drive guest trust and confidence in a positive manner from a health and safety perspective, without fully replacing the human element of the guest experience. Hotel staff will be able to spend more time providing a more personalized and sophisticated service, all of which will help accelerate and improve demand levels. So the industry needs to plan for the future and take steps to reduce long-term damage, gather customer confidence, reduce costs, increase revenue, and to drive itself for a faster recovery. Some of the key focus areas are digitalization and IT. Can go for a long way for the hospitality industry to enhance the guest experience and reduce it. The way forward would involve going frictionless or contactless, kiosks and devices based biometric check-in or check-out, concierge mobile applications to fill up check-in, check-out form details, chats or online conversations to interact with hotel staff for any queries or service requests. Another key focus can be the mobile application as room keys, intelligent in-room controls like room lighting, devices, etc. Using Internet of Things sensors for smart maintenance of hotel equipment, capturing data points for cleanliness quotient, digitalization of business process like ID proof submission, billing at hotel and restaurant, cancellation, rebooking, refund process, etc. Faster adoption of cloud technology by leveraging automation, artificial intelligence powered video analytics to monitor compliance of cleanliness operation procedures, crowd gathering in the hotel. The impact of artificial intelligence machines on the future job market has been gained significant attention with this new pandemic reality too. Advances in machine learning and natural language processing have led to a new breed of all-powered robots that can handle jobs with greater cognitive complexity. Certainly, machines are showing the potential to handle a vast number of jobs more efficiently than humans, including jobs within the hospitality industry. In particular, there are certain positions, shared functionality between people and robots seems especially likely. Certain roles, including housekeeping and maintenance, seems to be some form of automation. In those areas, robots and artificial intelligence could be used to help increase operational efficiency, decrease staff costs, and improve the guest experience. Other jobs such as the front desk and concierge may involve a merging of roles. Tasks may be shared and distributed between humans and machines depending on the particular skill set they offer. Ultimately, the human touch can never be replaced by a machine, but in these terms of pandemic is complicated. So, we must remember that hotel staff will be able to spend more time providing a more personalized and sophisticated service, all of which will help accelerate and improve demand levels at the hotel during the initial phase and beyond. So, this was my presentation. For now, I will wait for the debate and the questions, and I will be here. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Paula. During the unfortunate connectivity, you try from your best to deliberate your presentation, and hopefully my guru, Professor Babu, is quite appreciate the presentation and quite narratively, continuously he is listening the stops. Over to Professor Gaurav.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, your session has been really interactive. Irrespective of that, we couldn't see that on screen. Yeah, there was a lot of delays, but yeah, all those content has been delivered, and the message has been delivered to all the students. So we are looking forward for that. Thanks for that valuable session. All those integrated system with relation to hospitality, you've covered them in a very precise manner, in a manner that could be understood by each and everyone. So all our students are putting some questions too. So now I would request our session moderator for question answer round, Sujata ma'am, to please continue this question answer round. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Gaurav.
Sujata, you may switch on your video.
I take this opportunity. What, sir?
Sujata, you may switch on your video.
So, if video is switched on, voice is getting a little problem. It's echoing.
Okay. You may continue.
So, I'll just finish up with the introduction part. Among with us, we have Professor Pastor, a distinguished speaker, Dean at College of Computer Study, University of Perpetual Health System, Delta, Philippines. Professor Pastor, a person with very dynamic and strong personality. He holds a PhD in technology education. With a colossal experience of 20 years as college professor and 5 years of experience of software engineer. Sir, I welcome you wholeheartedly on this webinar question and answer session. Professor Pastor is an honorary member of peer reviewer of Institute of Engineering and a research publication. He also chairs the editorial board of Computational Intelligence and Machine Learning Research Journal and is a member of the Council Back Group. It is a pleasure to introduce you to our other panelists, Professor Paula, Head of the Department Oxford University of Algar. Professor Paula holds a PhD in Management Science by the University of Algar, Portugal, in area of Information System. She is a professor at ESGHT School of Management, Hospitality and Tourism of University since 1997. She has been Department of ESGHT. Professor Paula ma'am has a plethora of paper published international congresses and seminars. She is also a co-author. Just a minute, there is a power here. She has also published on international scientific journals and also has participated in scientific committees of international conferences. Dipti sir, the other panelist here is Mr. Dipti Prakash Sahu, a very young and zestful person. He is head of the Department of Hospitality and of Tourism, Hospitality and Aviation Management at Gujarat University, Gujarat Technological University, Ahmedabad. Professor Dipti sir, am I audible to all?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, sir. Babu sir, first question is for Professor Babu sir. By Tanmay from Department of Diploma in Hotel and Tourism Management, India, Asia Pacific Institute. His question is, some countries have started their tourism. So what steps are they taking to protect themselves from the spread of COVID-19? Over to you, sir. Babu sir.
Thank you very much. In fact, there are two things that we need to be clear here. Those countries, for instance, Cambodia, it has opened up the border with the condition that any visitor visiting Cambodia pays USD 2000 at the airport itself before they are allowed to move into the country, which means there is going to be a cost that the traveler may have to bear when they reach a particular country destination. That is point number one. Point number two, because that amount they charge is being levied towards the potential expenses towards the country. Number two, countries have adopted a strategy of allowing the visitors from such countries where the rate of infection has been either very low or the infection has been contained to almost a complete level. For instance, New Zealand has opened up the industry when the positive cases were almost nil. Subsequently, when the cases began to come up again, it has started imposing restrictions. Unlike many island countries for the matter, also plan to open the industry, but again the question is that how you open it up when you are not sure about your own retail system. So there are two issues which we need to look at here. The countries would be very, very cautious and would be very selective and would create travel bubbles. I mean, travel bubbles means from where the visitors can be allowed and which places in a particular country. So that is point number one. Point number two, these countries are going to be very, very meticulous in planning and executing the COVID-19 protocol. For instance, hotels. But then some suggestions, some points have already come up. There are also suggestions by some hotel groups that at best avoid the elevators or the lifts. Use as much as possible the staircases for moving up and down. Then it has also been suggested to dine out, not within the hotel. The point is that there are various measures being talked about, but no country so far has any definite plan. I repeat that point. No country has so far has any definite plan with regard to resuming tourism industry as a whole. Still, the hotel industry is forming up the protocols. Airline industry is forming up the protocols. If you are following the newspapers regularly, India, for instance, now government has said that by middle of July, the government may allow international flights again on a bubble travel basis from a specified city for